right. Welcome. Let's get this, we'll go ahead and get this started. Thank you everyone for joining the TOJI webinar today. I'm going to start with a very brief synopsis of the TOJI program and some of its benefits and requirements. And then we'll get to the good part, which is we have a number of TOJI alums who have been through the program, and they are going to talk to you about their experiences with starting a law firm and what that has been like for them. And everyone has had a unique and interesting journey down that path over the last year to couple years, depending on when they graduated. And then we'll be able to get your questions, and you'll be able to sort of hear from them what it's like to be in the TOJI program and how this experience has gone for them. I'll start us off very briefly with the introduction on TOJI. So my name is Joshua Weaver. I'm the director of the Texas Opportunity and Justice Incubator. We are part of the State Bar of Texas. And the TOJI program was originally founded in 2017 as an initiative from State Bar President Frank Stevenson. And essentially, we have a dual purpose mission. So mission number one is to help folks like these wonderful people that are here today with starting their law firm. And we want to help support them and get them to the point where they are meeting their goals through building a legal business. The other part of our mission is to try and address the access to justice gap. And so the ABA has reported that approximately 80% of Americans either can't afford or perceive that they can't afford an attorney. And so when you think about 80%, that is a large number of people. I mean, that's most people that you know, right? So we are trying to work to address that problem through essentially innovation, innovating on business models, innovating with technology, innovating with the delivery of legal services. And so we're trying to be on the cutting edge of building these new law firms to be able to serve that market. So I'm going to go through a couple quick details about TOJI. I'm going to skip some of these slides, but I think the starting point of all of this is that, when I ask people, when I ask law students, when I ask recent graduates, when I ask people that have been out in practice for a while, and even people that have been practicing for decades, why did you become a lawyer in the first place? A lot of times, one of the most common answers I get is to do good and help other people, right? Believe it or not, I think most people are driven to be attorneys because they see this as an opportunity to really help other people. And yet, a lot of attorneys also report that they struggle to understand and figure out how they can really make a direct impact in their community in the current job that they're in. And so one of the core ideas of TOJI is that if you really have a drive to help the people in your community and make a difference, starting a law firm is a really direct way to be able to achieve that impact. Just some quick notes about Texas. So TOJI is a Texas program. You don't have to live in any particular place in Texas. We operate entirely virtually. So you can attend all of the TOJI sessions through Zoom. But Texas is a very large area and we have a lot of need. So there are 254 counties, and among those 254 counties, there are approximately 67 that have 5 or fewer lawyers. That means we have some large legal deserts in Texas. And so one of the things that we're trying to do is we are trying to empower people to be able to serve the communities that they know and they understand wherever they happen to live and be familiar with that community. And so that's one of the reasons why we operate as a virtual program rather than being an in-person program. Another thing that we incorporate into the teaching and sort of the philosophy of how to build a sustainable business serving this underserved community is, instead of looking at the 80% as a problem, we are looking at that as a real opportunity for lawyers. And so one of the, I'm going to skip to the slide from Jack. So Give me one moment here. So Clio founder Jack Newton, Clio is one of the large practice management programs. Clio founder Jack Newton said that the latent legal market refers to the untapped potential of all the would-be legal clients who aren't currently using legal services to solve their legal issues. And if you do a little bit of napkin math, we know that 437 billion was the annual spend on US legal services in 2020. If 80% of the legal needs are not being met, that suggests that the unmet market represents a $1 trillion product market fit opportunity for attorneys. That means that essentially, if you are starting a new law firm, the number of people, the demand for your services, if you can figure out how to deliver it to them in a way that they are, that it's accessible and affordable, that market is enormous. And so that instead of being a problem, it's really a great opportunity. And I think this is the critical point on how you can make a difference in your community through that process of starting your own law firm. All right. I'm going to quickly cover the 3 main benefits of the TOJI program, and then we will get to our alums who have been patiently listening to me yammer on as they always do. And so the 3 primary benefits of the TOJI program is, number 1, there is the TOJI network. And so at this point, we are about to graduate our 8th cohort. And so the next group of folks will be our 9th cohort. And what that means is that we already have a network of approximately 120 lawyers representing about 120 law firms that are within our alumni network. And when you think about what that represents, it's really kind of an amazing thing, right? These are all people that have within the last 6 years, right? We started in 2017, this is 2023. So every person that's been through the program within the last 5 to 6 years has gone through this process of starting a solo and small practice and figuring out how to make a difference in their community. And so this is just an enormous wealth of knowledge and just practical know-how that you can tap into with people that have done this recently, right? Like, I think everyone's been to that CLE at some point in their life where you have somebody that's telling you about, like, you know, back in 1970, this is how we did it. And, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. That can be very entertaining. But, you know, if you're trying to start a law firm today, it is so much more helpful to hear from somebody that was like, yeah, I did this last year and this is what worked and this is what didn't work, right? In addition to the network, we also have TOJI coaching. And so we have folks that will come in, and myself included, will provide you with weekly coaching sessions, and we will talk about the fundamentals of how to build your law firm. We'll talk about the business of running a law firm, how to market yourself, how to deliver your legal services, how to make your clients happy, right? All of these important things that you'll need to know that are, you know, frankly, they're just not really covered in law school. And unless you have some entrepreneurial background running a business, you know, most folks haven't been exposed to a lot of this stuff before. And then finally, we will also offer the TOJI toolkit. And so included in your tuition to the TOJI program, you will get access to a kit of software and services that are really designed to give you the nuts and bolts of what you need to build a successful law firm in your first year. And you will probably outgrow that toolkit. If your law firm is, you know, doing very well, you'll get to the point where you'll look back and you'll realize, you know, you need to sort of customize the thing to make it your own. But we really think that we have thoughtfully put together the stuff that you need to get off the ground and get yourself through that first year of building your law firm. All right, so as a reminder to everyone, we are currently accepting applications. So if you go to txoji.com, that's TOXJI.com, website looks like this, and you can find out more information here about the TOJI program, and you can get your application in. And so do that. before March 11th, because that is when we are going to be closing applications for this current cohort. All right. Thank you for putting up with all the log rolling. I will now transition into talking with our alums. And so we have a number of alums here today. All the other faces here today are folks that have been through the program in the last few years, and they're here to talk to you about their experiences. So I'm going to start and just call on folks in the order that I see them on my screen. And we're going to start with a positive note. So my first question is, Leslie, what has been the most satisfying part of your journey starting a law firm?
Thank you, Joshua. I'm happy to be here with everyone. And I'm in cohort 7 and actually part of the alumni group. So when he was talking about the TOJI network, I just want to, welcome everyone and know that when you graduate, you do have a place where we can all meet together and learn from one another. But I think on the positive note, I think starting your own law firm can be very scary. I do have a business background. So for me, it was just like, I wasn't worried necessarily about the business part. But I think that when you can choose your own clients and you can make the decisions as to who you want to serve, how you want to serve, and your hands aren't bound by the billable hour. So for me, I would say those are some very, they were some very important elements on my checklist as to, do I want to work for someone else or start my own firm? Josh, I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, thank you, Leslie. I appreciate it. I'm just going to go down the line. Kevin, I see you up next. What was the most satisfying part so far of your journey starting a law firm?
The most satisfying part of starting a law firm for me has been getting an opportunity to actually help people. Like you were talking about, that was a big part of why I became an attorney, was that I wanted to help people, especially people who are marginalized communities. And it's been really awesome getting to help do some pro bono work with some of the volunteering groups that I've worked with. It's been good helping clients with their matters and seeing improvements in their lives and continuing to talk with them a little bit afterwards, and knowing that I made that difference, that I can get out there and have a positive impact on the world.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And Tracy?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I think for me, the positive part of starting a law firm is similar to what everyone else is saying. With the clients, and then picking the clients or selecting or figuring out, I think is a better word, the clients I'd like to work with, and how am I going to get to serve them, in that latent group. The other thing I've enjoyed about the firm is building the relationships and choosing, I had, like Leslie, I have an MBA and a business background too, doing consulting. So putting some of that, build network building and client relationship skills to the test and to the use. And also, I think being able to, having my own law firm gets me into rooms that I want to be in. And I think before it was getting into rooms because, quote unquote, your company or employer told you to. But for me to sit down and I can go from a business incubator startup all the way to a senior citizens event or, a campaign issue and have fun because I'm representing my brand and my firm. So that's been the most enjoyable piece. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. Yeah, great answer. Olavi, what about you? What has been the most satisfying part about your journey starting a law firm?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So I'm currently in Nigeria in Lagos. I haven't been back for like 5 years. So I just thought I should start that with this. So one of the most satisfying thing is the flexibility. The reason why I haven't been able to go back for 5 years was, law school and then working with working for a job and, not knowing how to leave and be nervous. And so being able to come back home after so much time and still be able to work, I'm here on the meeting, and TOJI talking and doing all that. That's been the most satisfying thing. Just that flexibility is amazing.
That's awesome. I didn't know that you were abroad right now, but that's really cool. We've also had sometimes, I think my favorite was we had a member of the current cohort who tuned into a TOJI session and his webcam was facing a tent in the middle of a national park. He was camping, but he still managed to make it to the meeting. So it's always fun to see where folks are able to tune in from. Larry, are you with us? What is the most satisfying part of your journey so far starting a law firm?
Yes, I am. Thank you, Joshua. For me, pretty much kind of piggyback on what's been said, some of it anyway, being in a position to make a good impact on the lives of other people. Having that flexibility that was mentioned before, to do what I can and do what I need to help other people. Also, another big thing for me is the autonomy. Although there are times I work late into the evening or even into the early morning hours, I can stop when I need to. And, I don't have to worry about punching a clock or giving a reason why I'm not at my desk, right? And then being self-sustaining, walking away from having insurance, vacation days, and still have all of that now after starting my own law firm. It's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing. Well worth it. It's one profession where I have found you don't really have to do a lot of pavement beating to get clients. The clients are there, and that's really awesome.
I'm glad you mentioned that because a really common fear and anxiety that people have about starting a business, a new law firm, is the general anxiety that, like, will anyone hire me? Like, are there any clients out there that will want to hire me? But yet a very common experience for folks in the program is that sure enough, your phone does ring and you get busy. And I actually, after working with so many attorneys in their startups, I actually feel like that's one of the least concerning things to worry about as you're starting is the clients will come. They are there. It's all the other things that you have to think about that's more challenging. All right, I'm going to go back in reverse order, and we'll kind of segue into another part of the conversation, which is I think a lot of people do feel a lot of real anxiety and fear about the challenges involved in starting a law firm. And I think one of the best ways of getting through that fear is to just openly talk about the things, right? And just, share those things, talk with your peers, ask for support. And so in the spirit of just talking about the things, I would love to hear from you, Larry. What has been one of the biggest challenges that you have had to face and overcome over the last year as you've been trying to build your law firm?
Challenges. I think certainly one of the biggest challenges was transitioning from an employee to an owner. I sat at my job probably 2 to 3 months longer than I guess I don't want to say than I should have, but I could have certainly taken the step much sooner than I did. The idea of the challenge of the thought of not receiving that paycheck every 2 weeks, right? The healthcare costs were significantly lower than what I paid now, but still, it's affordable. I have it, right? Walking away from vacation days. Well, the autonomy I mentioned earlier, it helps with that. The same with, sick days or just taking time away to do something you need or something a loved one needs or something like that. So yeah, just making that transition from employee to owner, there was some fear, I'll be honest. There was some fear, but after convincing myself that I will never, ever know whether I can do it until I do it, it was a no-brainer. Just go ahead and do it because that's the only way I'm going to find out.
Yeah, I love that. That's such an insightful comment. Transitioning from an employee to an owner, that is really such a core part of the journey, and scary, but also can be very exciting and rewarding. B, how about you? What has been one of the challenges that you've faced, and what has that been like for you?
Okay, so like when I started the law firm, and yes, I opened up the PLLC, I got my office, and then it was the first day, and I'm on my desk with my pen like on it, like, okay, so what happens now? Who calls? How do I start? And then, TOJI especially helped me with being able to look at resources, like how do you put yourself out there, and when you start it, you don't know if it's gonna work. And then, you get a phone call, and they come in and they pay money, and then you get a second phone call, you get a third, and before you know it, you start having the business. So that was great. For like the first 2 weeks, I was definitely nervous. And another challenge is family. You know, they're like, okay, well, B, you should get a job, and then they're sending you links for ZipRecruiter and all that. And then, without the money, then you start thinking of that. And I'll be honest, I looked at a couple of jobs. I went for a couple of interviews, but I just kept it on because the clients kept coming and they kept me busy. And so 1 year later, I'm still here. So I'm grateful to that. And TOJI was definitely a backbone that made me comfortable in that setting.
Yeah, yeah. And we do have some folks that get into the program and they give it a try, and then at some point they realize, nope, I'd rather work for somebody else. And that's never I never view that as a failure. That is just something that you've learned about yourself at that point. You've given it a try, you've experimented, you've seen whether it's something that you like being a business owner, and then you've made a better, more informed decision about what you want to do next. And I think that that's also a really healthy way to grow. If you do eventually come to that conclusion that I'd rather actually work for somebody, that's perfectly fine. Okay, Tracy, how about you? What is one of the biggest challenges that you've faced?
I think there are two challenges, and I think if I'm in cohort 8, so I'm getting ready to graduate. So for the people that have been in my cohort, I think they probably heard me say this over and over, but challenges for me has been on the administrative piece of running a business. I'm just going to put it out there. I've been, like I said, this is a career change, and I've been fortunate throughout my career to have very good support, meaning administrative support, IT support. But when you're running your own business, and Joshua said it up front, and everyone said the clients will come, but will you be ready? I think I did the branding. I got real good with branding. I had a lot of fun. But then I realized one week, it happened. I was getting like 30 to 40 calls a day. And I couldn't handle it because although I was warned and TOJI provided the systems, I realized I couldn't do it by myself. I needed a virtual assistant. So I tried virtual assistants. I needed answering services. I needed IP-based phones and things like that. So getting the administrative piece together and what type of law practice management systems. I mean, I don't want to name drop, but we know that's out there. So with TOJI, I tried this one and I was able to try this one, and I had to speak with others and saving time with billing. So my time went from, in an 8-hour day, 6 hours, I own it, trying to be the perfect administrative everyone, to saying, no, let me delegate that away. And it was because of the TOJI metrics where I realized I was losing my time. And like B and others, I did some contract work with other attorneys. And so I could manage it. I just couldn't figure out, why am I running away from things in my inbox? So it was the administrative piece. The other challenge, and TOJI helped me through this, and so did Leslie. I was glad I was able to talk to her. She was one of our speakers. Okay, pricing. I had to hold myself to pricing. Do you do a consultation? Do you do a free consultation? Does it have to be a certain number an hour? Can you do 15-minute increments? And how do you collect? Same thing with the clients. I thought I was charging a good fee for probate services, and I talked to another TOJI person, and he, member, cohort alum, and he broke it down. He said, your fee looks pretty good, but do you realize 70% of what you're charging, you're also paying for court costs, so you're not making that much. And how do you explain that to the client that in, Harris County, If you're going to do a probate without a will, you have to start off with $1,100, and that is not attorney time. So getting those types of tips really helped. So I would say I still struggle with the not struggle. That's not true. I've progressed in the maturity level in terms of how to be better with the administrative piece and the pricing and communicating and holding my clients accountable for that. You know, looking for other ways to collect billing fees and not feeling the pressure to bill every 6 minutes and things like that. So yeah, that's been my challenges and how TOJI's helped me work through them. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that, Tracy. Yeah. And people will have different strengths, right? That's something that really comes out as people go through the program and as they go through the journey of being an entrepreneur, is that you really learn a lot about yourself, and it's kind of a journey of exploration of your own makeup and your personality. And you learn a lot about yourself, and it's okay. You don't have to be the best at everything in order to succeed. You just have to lean on your strengths and then lean on the other people to help with anything that you're challenged by. How about you, Kevin?
I feel like I have a pretty good answer for this one. But it's a little bit like what Larry was saying about the anxiety, because that's been my biggest challenge overall. For a little bit of context, I graduated law school in 2015, got barred in 2016, and I spent about 6 years working as a project manager. So I had not very much experience with the law and even less recent experience practicing as an attorney when I decided to start this. So there were certainly some situations where I was anxious about doing a good job for the client, especially when I was working on some new areas of law that I hadn't even touched on before. But I pushed through and I did it scared. And I even did it when there was one incident where opposing counsel tried to emotionally bully me about the outcome of a case. Instead of arguing the law with me or the facts of the case, he was just like, you're going to feel terrible. Your client's going to be mad at you after the judge tells you you're going to be wrong, and you're going to feel so embarrassed. And I had to just stand in my own confidence a little bit and say, like, look, man, if you can't give me a good argument, then I'll see you in court tomorrow, and I hope you have a better one. And he did not. And so I printed out the bullying email text thing that he sent me and framed it on my wall. Because I won. I beat him after he bullied me. So there we go.
That is I feel like secondhand shame on behalf of that other attorney. Like, who does that? But yeah, I mean, and that's great. And thank you for sharing that. I'm glad that I love how you put it, like, I did it scared is such a powerful way of putting that, because I think there are just so many opportunities along the process of starting a business where you are going to do things scared, but then you can look back on it and feel a lot of pride and accomplishment. Like, I did it anyway, like, and I got it done and it was all okay. So yeah, so thanks for sharing that. Leslie, how about you? Big challenges? Leslie she doesn't get challenged. She just steamrolls through things.
I did it anyway. I did it scared anyway. I love that. Thank you for sharing, because that, I think, really does reach everybody. And some people who are starting this journey in TOJI, I think, wow, that was powerful. Thank you for sharing, Kevin. I'm going to kind of piggyback on Tracy. I was lucky to meet with her. Her and I grabbed brunch. Just another example of TOJI members helping each other and just reaching out. And none of us are never but a phone call away. And I think most of us mean that. But I'm going to say time working on the business, not just in it, because, the amount of time that we do spend wearing our attorney hat, but you have to really, set boundaries and make sure you have a clear, checklist. For me, for sure, is what I found works best for me. And calendaring, because you could spend all day long calling, picking up the phone with clients and setting boundaries, and the phone rings. Like they said, the phone will ring, don't worry about that. But then I'm on the phone all day long just taking calls, right? And so I had to really kind of early on think, how am I gonna I can't spend all my time answering phone calls, because I'm not only not working on what I'm supposed to be doing with my clients or deadlines or drafting or whatever that looks like, but then I'm not also getting my procedures in place, working on my marketing, right? And working in the business. and on the business. And so I early on said, you know what? I have a very kind of strategic, I don't have a welcome mat. I'm not that welcome mat attorney. I pick my clients very carefully and who I'm going to work with. And then they know, right? And if people are calling, it's on my voicemail. Not only will you have my cell phone, because that's just easier for me, doesn't work for everybody, but again, it's the boundaries that I set. But it's very much, I will return phone calls between 6 and 8 p.m. So leave a phone, I'm not going to pick up the phone, right? Leave me a message, and when it gets late and it's 8 o'clock and I still have some phone calls to return, I'll text them and say, I am still working down my list. Do you want me to call you tonight? And they always say yes, right? So I think that is just one of the an example on, you know, some attorneys I know in TOJI that one very esteemed alum, and I'm put her name out here, Lorna Griffin in New Braunfels. You know, she came and spoke to, she was ahead of us in my cohort. She was cohort 6, and she said, you know, I don't answer and look at my emails first thing in the morning. I take that first hour and I work on myself, get myself prepared, work on the business. And I thought, wow, how do you not look at your phone first thing in the morning? But you know, it works. And now looking back, I think that is a great, you know, whatever the tip works for you, you know, put your plan in place, get it, of course, ask and get help if you don't know. But I think it's really just taking the time and setting boundaries, is what I'm going to say was the biggest challenge at first, to kind of be enough, or think I was enough, and that what my practices and procedures were going to work, and then sticking to it.
Yeah. And so the next question is a little more broadly open, but what I'm looking for here is, has there been any particular piece of software or service? You know, we have the TOJI toolkit, which gives you sort of a repository of tools that you can use as you're getting started. But I don't want to limit the question to just the TOJI toolkit. So, you know, think very broadly. Has there been any particular software, service, or just process or strategy, I guess, would also fall into this category, that has been really critical for building your firm over the last year or so? And I'm going to go back in reverse order again. So Leslie, I'll start with you on that.
I think that's one of the huge benefits of being a TOJI member, is all of the benefits and access to different programs and speakers and experts. And Joshua, I mean, he's his own category, right? And having access to him is incredible. So, I mean, I would say to pick one, I think starting with the program, there's so much that it's overwhelming, because you're just like, wow, I have access to all this. And it's like a kid in a candy store. I would say the two biggest ones for me was Clio. Even though I had already had Clio, but then being able to add Clio Grow, for example, something I probably wouldn't have been able to, or didn't think I needed, right? And having access to it for free and getting able to, you know, see what that can do for me, see how the productivity can raise, see how automation with that, you know, how far that they can help. And them, even though we're free and it was on TOJI, every time you call, they were so gracious and helpful. And so I think it's not only them as a software platform for Clio, but it's also they're going to help you, right? When you call and you have a problem, they're not going to say, I'll call you back in 10 days, right? You're going to get to somebody who's going to help you right then and there. So I thought that was amazing. The partnership with Clio, that I know Joshua worked very hard to have that. And then I would say the CLE benefit. I think having access to the CLEs is a huge weight lift of how can I afford a $695 CLE when I'm trying to do all these other things in my firm and getting, you know, paying bills, and how can I keep the lights on, and et cetera, et cetera. And so I think, and also being able to access just like the paper sometime, right? If I need a quick answer, and just being able to access and research, I think those would be for me the two. And as, you know, alum, you know, when we kind of sit back and go, what are the things that we loved is when we were in TOJI? And I would say, you know, everyone's pretty much with that CLE benefit, I think is huge. And I think it's an amazing opportunity for you when you're just trying to learn, or something comes in your door that maybe you're not as familiar with, that you can have easy, let me just type that in real quick, pull up the paper, let me read through that. So I'm very grateful for, like I said, the volume of benefits was a lot, but those two in particular were the ones that I really think made a huge difference in me being successful.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. And so just to add a little additional context to what Leslie just said, the the toolkit comes with a number of benefits that are covered by your tuition to the TOJI program. And it includes things like practice management software, legal research, CLE. And so as long as you're a member in good standing in the program, you're going to be able to continue to access all of those benefits through the 12 months of the program. And so when she's referring to Clio and CLE, those are included in that toolkit. Kevin, what about you? Is there something about the toolkit or some other strategy or process that has been sort of instrumental for your success?
Yes, absolutely. And I was going to say what Leslie was going to say, but instead I'll go for some other products to get a little diversity out there on and maybe share something a little more niche. There's two software products that I really felt was important, or like a software product and a service. Um, and they're both really critical to me for like work-life balance and keeping costs down. The first one is a virtual phone service called Corvum that integrates with Clio. So it makes it easy to track my phone calls with clients. When a call comes in and I have the client's phone number listed in Clio, it automatically matches the phone call to the time. And so I don't even have to think about doing a time entry. And that's huge. It also works with my normal phone, and I have it set so that, during work hours, if the phone rings, my cell phone rings. And after work hours, my cell phone stops ringing when people call my business line. So that's really huge. The other thing is I have a virtual office location. I've been working almost entirely out of a home office. I'm not actually flying up here in the sky. I don't have let me see here. Here's my actual background, not instead of the nice virtual background that I have set up. And keeping the virtual office saved me a lot of money on overhead, and that was really important because I wound up just barely in the black after this first year, which I was really happy with. But if I had been paying for a full office and had been going in all the time, I don't think it would have worked for me. And that may not be true for everybody, but that's what worked well for me.
Could you spell the name of that phone service for?
Yes. It's spelled Corvum, Corvum. It has a little crow icon. I think that's kind of the idea. It's like a messenger bird thing. So
Very good. I hadn't heard that one. So it's always good to be introduced to a new useful product. So thank you. Tracy, how about yourself?
Yeah, hi. Let's see, there are two things. One is with I don't know if it's going to be around next year, but the LexisNexis. That helped me out a lot. Not just for people going research, but it also our access. We had access to this whole thing AI. So it was a way to experiment and save some time. The other service and tool, I'm going to go back to branding. That I enjoyed. It wasn't necessarily an offering, but we had a session about how to easily do some microsites and test. That's how I was getting 30 a day. I'm like, oops, it worked. But different microsites. So Joshua gave us a quick overview, maybe during the session for my cohort 8. Sorry, it may have felt painful, but we had a lot of fun. I learned a lot, and now I can do them by myself. So I have like different microsites based on themes or a certain product offering I want to test again as I work to build my brand, because my goal is to get this virtual office that has a product that can cover all the needs plus an extra 50%. So I too can go work elsewhere, but also serve that latent market. So to go from, a full website, yeah, but to also be able to build microsites and connect them back to your website or back to your business with things like Mixel and Pork Bun, and sound very sophisticated with chat bots, all things we learned in that session. I've enjoyed it a lot. So yeah, those would be my two things.
Yeah, thanks. And for folks listening right now, that process is much less painful now than it was a few years ago. We used to do a website. So as part of the TOJI program, if you don't have a website, we will help you build a website. And we'll talk about sort of all the marketing that you need to think through and how to position yourself. But then we actually do the nuts and bolts of building the website. And it used to be like a 2 or 3 full day grind to just get through that process. And then thanks to you know, technology progressing, now that is condensed down to a few hours. And it's really nice to hear the feedback, Tracy, that you're building microsites for different purposes now, which is awesome. I mean, that's
Yeah,
incredible.
yeah, because look, not trying to plug, but just for an example, one of them I have out is like HR lawyer online, and it's trademarked. So that's, you know, for employees. So it's a microsite, and it specifically talks about that, and it's real easy, adaptable on the web or your personal, you know, device. And then I tested something else out, so along those lines. So it was fun. And again, with the branding and really targeting the STP, bringing in that segment that you want, bringing in some of this marketing MBA background. It's been a lot of fun for me. So I've enjoyed it. And so I wouldn't have known how to do that. I can do it now in 30 minutes or less without TOJI in the session and working with the other cohorts. So thank you.
Well, that's very impressive, and you wear a lot of hats in this process. You probably would have never guessed that the web developer hat would be a hat that you would learn to wear, but it sounds like you're flourishing with that. So that's awesome. Leslie,
Tracy, I may need you to come be a guest speaker in our TOJI alumni group for the older ones who don't have that experience or what is that? I may be calling on you to come and speak to our alumni group.
Absolutely, because I was the one that went from what DNS what. So for if you're interested and you join TOJI, you will know what DNS entry means real fast. And that's something else to Joshua's point and to everyone else's point. You know, you're building your business and you choose your strengths. I move towards the branding and realize I can not frustrate myself with the administrative. There are other people that are great with different skill sets. So I just had to make that decision, and that was where I landed. Thanks.
very good. B, how about you? Is there any piece of software or process or something that you picked up along the way that was sort of critical to your success?
Yeah, so I mean, I use text docs, so that's useful for people who are trying to practice in Texas. It gives you the forms, especially starting up, you know, you don't have to call other attorneys like, hey, do you have this motion for limine motion? I mean, it's good to have that extra source, but it's not a do or die affair, you know. So that, and from TOJI, I was able to use, these are tools that I had, but I just didn't know how I could use them, like Chat GBT, with Canva. You know, we were able to figure out how we can integrate both and help with our marketing. And so a lot of the tools are there. Sometimes it could be overwhelming, but those are the tools that have been helpful. There are so many others, but it's a good place to get all these tools.
Thank you, B. Larry, how about you, sir?
Probably a lot similar to what other people have named, starting with text docs, TXDOCS. Really great for drafting petitions, and whatever the area of law is that you may practice. It has category for that. Well, maybe not all categories, but it's a great tool. It's a great tool. I've been able to also use Westlaw Form Builder a little. Same idea, just it's you know, guide you through completing the document that you're looking for. Case management, I use my case. I find it to be really great for tracking time, collecting and maintaining client information, as well as other tasks. I mean, it's a host of things that tool can do, but those are a couple that are essential. I also found Fast Case and LexisNexis. Those are really great for case law research. I mean, they're pretty much critical. I mean, unless you like Olabee said, unless you've got a database of forms already or something like that, you're going to need something like text docs to put your forms together, or you know, unless you've got somebody you can go to and just immediately get what you need. So, I mean, that's just a few of the tools. Even like Olabee mentioned, Chat GPT. That's outstanding, and you know, it's something that I was introduced to as a member of TOJI. And then I'd also like to, I guess, piggyback on what Leslie said about having access to Joshua. That he is a tremendous resource full of knowledge about what you need. So I think like you know, if you do get offered the opportunity to join TOJI and you take advantage of it, yeah, if you want to hop on that, definitely hop on that.
Well, thank you for the kind words, Larry. All right,
Absolutely.
we are getting down to the final minutes of the webinar. We have about 13 minutes left. So one quick thing, if you have questions for these alums, please feel free to type those into the chat. I've seen Kevin has been answering some questions. Thank you, Kevin. That's very helpful. If we have some time at the end, I will also ask any questions that have not been answered yet in the chat. But for the last question, before we get to that, I'd like to ask each of you, if you had to give one piece of advice, try and remember what it was like when you were in that position where you're thinking about doing this, you're thinking about starting your firm, you feel the rush of excitement, but also the nerves, like, is this going to work? What piece of advice do you wish that you could have sort of told your own self in that moment? Or conversely, what would you tell somebody that is now considering this, making this decision for themselves? And Larry, I'm going to start with you and we'll go back through the order back up to Leslie.
Okay. I would say make a reasonable plan. And I would imagine many of you, if not all, learned about reasonable in law school, like the rest of us. Make a reasonable plan of how you will start that law firm, from beginning and up until up and running. Once you've made that reasonable plan and you've looked over it however many times you need to, 1,000, 1,500 times, however many times you need to. But after you've made that plan, stop stopping and go ahead and do it. That's the only way you're going to know whether you will be successful. Is to actually do it. But don't just jump in there without a plan. Do make a reasonable plan. And like I touched on a moment ago, if you're offered the opportunity to join TOJI, you want to take advantage of that. You absolutely want to.
Very good. Thank you, Larry. B, what advice would you have had for your former self as you were starting this, or for somebody that's thinking about doing this themselves?
So the advice I would have for myself is you can do it. You can do it. Looking back at this far, how far I came, I think I started my law firm like full February, like last year. And I was nervous about my apartment. I just got a new apartment. I was nervous about so many things. And looking back at it, this time I've been able to do it, so you can do it. It's a great experience. Enjoy the process. It's not going to be easy. Just enjoy the process. And I'm proud of every one of us. For you even thinking about it means that you can do it. Yeah, and yeah. So, good luck with everyone. Good luck at everything you want to do. And we're here. I'm a resource as well. If you need help, if you need encouragement, please do not hesitate to contact me as well.
Thank you, B, for those words of encouragement. You can do it, I believe, right? Yeah. That's great advice. Kevin, what about you?
Well, I was going to say that it's something very similar to Larry again about sort of, get a plan together about the money side of things. Have a plan for like what your personal finances look like for getting started on this. Have a plan for like what would I need to, how long could I have expenses going? Be sure that every expense that you're putting in for the business is an expense you really need. And try and figure out like how long can your finances stretch trying this? How long can you go before you need to see a profit or give up and find a new job? Because if you have an answer for that and a plan, you'll feel a lot safer about pushing forward when you're uncertain about how it's going yet, and you'll know when you need to stop or back off if that does happen. That's what I would say, is make sure you know what your finances look like when you're making the decision.
Cash flow is like oxygen for a startup. So, you need it to breathe, you need it to keep going. And so, yeah, that's great advice. Tracy, how about you?
Yeah, I think well, I was gonna say what Kevin said, because that was my biggest one. And the other thing to build on what Kevin said, because it's something I didn't think about, there are other resources out there for you as lawyers and law firms, because the key word is you're starting a business. So when you have a financial plan and you may see a gap, it's something that came to me much later. But there are resources for small businesses, and you qualify with your law firm. So your banks have small business loans or small business resources. You can use, you have TOJI, but you can also use like SCORE or those types of associations for guidance, and resources, including grants if you want to target a certain demographic. So that would be my advice. What everyone else has said, look at the plan, and if you still have like a be creative in how you think about your other resources that can help you sustain.
Very good. Tracy, thank you for that. Leslie, what do you think?
So for me, I'm just gonna, I think, do it, of course. I think, we'll use Nike's just do it. If you're thinking about it and you've been listening, we can plan forever, but you really jump in, and it's not like you're jumping in, with no safety net. You have TOJI, you have Joshua, you have all of the alums before you. And I would say, you are enough. We went through law school, right? We have everything, you have everything that you need to be successful. You don't need an MBA. I mean, it helps, right? But I mean, what I'm saying is you went through law school, you passed the bar, you're a licensed attorney, right? And I think coming from a place of, wanting to help address that access to justice gap, wanting to be in a place where people are like-minded, you've got that here. And so I think more than, having anxiety, which we're all going to have, but knowing that you've got, if nothing else, your cohort that you're going to see weekly before then your classes move through, you're going to be seeing each other. So when you come across something like, oh my gosh, how are we going to do that? You've not only have access to Joshua, but you're going to have all your cohorts, and the networking that you're going to have, that I feel like you can pick up the phone and have an answer quickly when you're in that panic moment. And the other thing I would say is hire a CPA. I mean, I have it in finance, right? I say hire early. I think I would tell myself, right, not only am I enough and I can do it, but I really resisted because of what Kevin and Tracy said. Like, how am I going to afford that? How can I really tackle that, right? But the sooner you do that, the sooner you can start earning your billable hour, right? Or whatever that is, and not handling the administrative stuff. But I would, and like anytime, I think we're all said, reach out to me anytime. I can't put my information in the chat because I think it just goes to the host and panelists, but you can go to the TOJI website. We're all listed there. You can find, any alum, find a practice area or not, right? We're all listed there, but really call anytime with any question, because no question's too silly. But I think if you're already thinking about it, what do you have to lose?
All right. Well, thank you. I'd like to thank each of our alums for offering their time to be here with us today. Leslie, Tracy, Kevin, Olabi, Larry, I appreciate y'all so much, and thanks for sharing your insights and your experiences. I know this is something that we could talk about so much longer, and I don't know if you're picking up on it, but by the time you get done with this, you really feel deeply connected to these folks. The folks in your cohort, really, they become friends, they become trusted confidants. And so, we like to have a good old time and talk with each other, and we could go on and on. There are some great questions that have showed up in the chat, and we've been doing our best to answer everything. I'm just going to run through a couple of things. What is the schedule for the course? What is the time commitment? I saw a couple questions along those lines. So essentially at the beginning, it's a 12-month course. It's completely virtual. We do everything through Zoom. And so in the first 2 months of the experience, you are in what we call the boot camp. And so in the boot camp, you are meeting twice a week for 60 to 90 minutes for each session. We typically err on the side of 90 minutes during those first twice a week meetings, just because there's just a lot to get through during that part of the course. And so in the boot camp, we are really aiming at trying to cover all of the fundamentals, all of the basics of how to open your law firm for business and how to do things correctly. And then after those 2 months, we transition to a once a week meeting, and those typically are on the 60-minute time slot, although occasionally we will have some that are slightly longer. And so then that looks like just a once a week meeting that goes through the other 10 months of the program. And then in addition to that, we encourage you to do group working sessions and also to do one-on-one coaching. And so that is more something that works on an office hours system. So you can schedule that when you need the help, and you can come in and have a conversation with me or have a conversation with an alum and get answers for whatever it is that you're trying to work through. And I promise you, whatever you're trying to work through, we've probably run into it before. There's probably somebody that has had a very similar experience, if not the exact same experience. So, either I can help you work through that, or if I'm not sure, then I can usually find somebody to connect you to that can help you work through those problems. So that's just an overview of what the schedule looks like, and also a time commitment. From the perspective of if you are working a job and then also trying to do this, I will be very transparent and say that I think the better way to do this is to fully commit to, I'm building the law firm. I am, completely, this is my main job. This is my total focus is on this. However, we have had folks that have gone through the program and they have worked a job either full-time or part-time for a portion of the program, and they have done fine. And it just really depends on, what are your other commitments in life? How much stress is it going to add to you to try and start a business while also maintaining your work life? And that's a very personal thing. It depends on you. It depends on the context of your work. So that's a very one by one individual type decision to make. Some folks can do it and they do it fine, and and it works out great for them. But my advice would be, pick a date and really set a goal of, okay, on this date of this year, that's the moment where I'm going to transition into running my own firm, because you need to have that goal to work toward, and it needs to be a more solid goal. Another thing is, another question was, what materials will you need to have to start the program? There's more information on our website about that, txoji.com. But essentially, we require you to get malpractice insurance, and then you have to go through the application process. Other than that, there's no additional materials that you need to start the program. We will give all that to you. And these folks will tell you it feels like drinking out of a fire hose when you get started. So you're going to get a lot of information. Another question was, if you have started a law firm within the last couple of years, but you're struggling, is this program a good fit for you? And the best answer is, we probably need to sit down and have a conversation, and I need to interview you and get more of an understanding of where you're at and sort of what's going on. But there is no specific limit. Like, you don't need to be at a certain point in the journey between planning to do it, opening your doors, or having already opened your doors. And we do have folks that join at kind of all parts along that timeline, and that's okay. But we do want you to be really, focused on actively building your firm, and whether that's correcting problems that you've already had, or just planning for the future. Either of those is fine. Okay, I'm going to try and see if there's any other questions that we can answer before we let y'all go. It looks like we're right at 1 o'clock. How many people are in a cohort? It's varied a little bit year by year, but we tend to have between 20 and 35 would be like the best guess. And it does just kind of vary year by year. We try not to do more than 35 as kind of like the upper limit, because at that point it gets hard to give each person enough time to really help, and all the coaching kind of gets more complex at that point. Do people build a caseload by taking referrals, overflow from other attorneys while in the program? Yes, there are some referral sources that we can connect you with as you're getting started. And those can be very helpful for establishing some cash flow as you're first getting going. That's not a long-term plan. That is not where you want to stay with your law firm. but that is a good place to help as you are just getting off the ground. And then alums do trade referrals within the community as well. So that also happens. Okay, and then there's a question, do you have the name of the company? I'm not sure which that is referring to. Maybe Kevin knows. He looks like he's typing. He's nodding. Okay. All right. Well, I'd like to remind everyone that if you want to learn more about the program, if you want to apply to the program, visit txoji.com. We are accepting applications through March 11. So you have some time to get that in, but I would encourage you not to wait. We do evaluate applications on a first come, first serve basis. So the earlier you get your application in, the better your chances are of getting selected for an interview. We typically do have a competitive application process. We usually have about 100 to 150 applications for the 30 to 35 seats. And so I'm not trying to say that to scare you off, but again, the sooner you submit your application, the earlier in that line you will be for consideration. And it takes about 7 to 10 minutes to do the application. So you can find that on the TOJI website. Somebody asked about tuition. Yes, there is tuition to be in the program, and I cannot give you the exact number, not because I'm trying to hide the ball, but because I haven't gotten the final number approved for this cohort. But I anticipate that it will be in the range of $400 a month. Will probably be where that lands. Larry, yeah, did you have a question or a comment?
Yeah, more of a question. What is the best way for me to leave my email address? Because I'd be happy to answer any other questions that the prospective cohort members may have.
That may be a question that Craig can answer. I mean, I suppose the other thing we can do is we can send out an email following this when we send out the replay.
Okay, sounds good to me. Thank you.
They can go to the TOJI website if your information, everyone's there. So if people are on the call, like I said, go to the TOJI website, look at alumni. You'll get who we are, all of our contact information. And like I said, I would be very surprised if any of the people you would call would not be willing to take a phone call or meet you for lunch if they're in your city.
Yeah, folks are very like eager and willing to help, which is all the other parts of the program are great. The coaching, the startup toolkit, all that other stuff is good. But really, the ultimate strength is you have these awesome folks that you can go to with your questions, and you can make these great relationships and be a part of this community. And I think that's really where the program shines. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. We're a few minutes over. I want to be respectful of everyone's time. So thank you, everyone who showed up today to watch and ask questions. And we will be sending this replay out. So if you missed part of it, you can always look for that email, and we'll send that out shortly. We'll include the emails for the alums that are offering to talk to folks. And thank you for offering to do that. That's very kind of you. And yeah, I would encourage you to go to the website, check it out, and submit your application. And thank you, everyone. And I wish you a wonderful weekend.